Hey guys, Maria here from applediaries.com. Today I'd like to do a post called Do You Live in Truth? It's a post that I wrote that I feel is way too long to post on social media, but I do love to write and I do love to read my posts. So I'll be reading from my computer here, and I hope some people find this of value. Please like, share, and subscribe so I can be inspired to make more videos. And I guess I'll just begin. So, starts out with caution. This post may upset those who live under the illusion that a diet high in protein is the key for longevity and a healthful existence. Despite the fact that individuals are sick and dealing with many forms of health issues that stem from roughly the same cause. Wrong foods, chemistry for our physiology, which create internal toxicity issues over time. One of the major culprits in our poor health, the high protein complex acid forming foods that humanity has grown so accustomed to. About 7 years ago, I lived on a 7-acre farm. You know, seven's, I just have to say quickly, is such a major number in my life. I mean, I was born on June 7th. I was born at 7 o'clock. I was 7 pounds. I was 7 ounces. And there are other sevens that are escaping me at this time. But anyways, about 7 years ago, I'll continue, I lived on a 7-acre farm where we produced our foods from the animals we were raising. We took raw milk from our Jersey cow. Her name was Mercedes. We ate our chickens' eggs. There were blue ones and green ones, and our chickens were amazing. And we ate the animals that had to be killed for their meat, which at the time we thought were health promoting. We actually moved to this farm because we wanted to know where all our food came from. We did know the importance of knowing exactly where your food came from and being part of, you know, your food and what goes into your body. We were awake to that aspect of things, but we weren't awake to the fact how unhealthy animal products and foods were. Anyways, so I'll continue to read. Often our meals were all foods produced from the land. We had meats, we had yogurts, we had homemade mayonnaise, eggs, etc. We just, you know, we went to town. We were making all kinds of stuff. You see, we were conscious enough to want to know exactly what went on behind our food, and we wanted to do it all ourselves, yet we hadn't woken up to the fact that no matter how animals are raised, no matter how happy your farm is, which, you know, I'll get into after, there's no such thing. None of it is actually health promoting within. I convinced myself at that point in time that we were eating the healthiest foods on the planet because they were all locally raised, organic, and the happiest animals up until the point that they had to die. I was at my worst health-wise living there while I was convincing myself that I was healthier than most 35-year-olds. I had regular bouts of depression, I had serious migraines, I had insomnia, I had cysts on my body, I had really poor memory, I had sore muscles, sore back, I had edema, which is swelling of tissue, I was always bloated, severe anxiety at times, like a lot of social anxiety as well. I couldn't walk into rooms without feeling nervous, and, you know, it was unnecessary nervousness. I had poor memory, I had dry skin, and so much more, like so many more symptoms. But all these issues are normal, right? Like society teaches us that, you know, as you get older, expect these things to happen, right? Especially in your 30s, everyone deals with health issues. It's part of growing older. How utterly wrong this programming is. It's complete BS. I can tell you that right now because of the way I feel now. One thing I could never wrap my head around was how much work and hardship it was just to produce these foods and to make a living from the land. Like, it was a lot of work. Have you ever milked a cow? Killed a chicken or a pig? Have you? It's insanity, and there's absolutely no humane way to go about murder. I guarantee if you had to do it yourself, you would lose the taste for dead animal flesh, unless your within toxicity is so great that you're just not yourself anymore. You're more controlled by your parasites and your candida. These living entities do control, in a sense, our thoughts and our emotions and our cravings a lot of times. And you can only see that once you take a step back and eliminate a lot of it, really, and clean up your diet. The last line would only make sense to someone who has rid their body of parasites, fungal issues, and internal toxicity to some degree. I'll tell you right now that seeing the death on the farm and witnessing it and being part of that, I'm a very creative person, and what I ended up coming up with was I made pot cookies. I made marijuana cookies. I fed them to all our pigs because I felt so bad that they had to get shot in the head. Like, I felt so bad, yet my programming is so deep that I still at that point thought that that was something that kind of had to go on, but I felt so bad, so I made them pot cookies, and I'd feed them these pot cookies. It was so funny though, because these pigs would, they're so cute. They would get, you know, stoned and pass out, and then I wasn't the one to shoot them, but then, you know, then they'd die, and then we would make these horrible, anyways, it was a nightmare in a sense, you know? I was living in a nightmare. My health issues were getting worse, yet because society was so proud of us, and, you know, we were that 7-acre farm, and those young people that were doing everything right and going back to tradition, you know, we thought, hey, like, yeah, like, this is normal, and we carried on until, you know, something really clicked. Just took one little click, and then everything started to unravel. It's like the illusion around you. Anyways, when I discovered that meats were acid forming and ingesting them regularly slowly degenerates the human body over time, or when I uncovered how detrimental milk is for our physiology due to its mucus-forming properties, because we're not baby cows and therefore it was not designed for human health in mind, it causes calcium loss from the body, or when I found out how eggs are highly constipating, high protein, and stick like glue to your intestines, I was relieved, actually. I was relieved. I mean, I had been vegetarian before, actually, quickly. When I was living in the city, I read this Eat Right for Your Blood type diet, which caused me to go vegetarian. I only cut out meat, but I actually felt really great about that. And the only reason I started eating meat was because we moved to this farm, and I was going to have to be cooking it and dealing with it anyway. So I remained vegetarian for about 6 months probably on that farm, and then I just started eating it again. And it never felt right. I mean, yeah. When I look back, I mean, I was in my own private hell and I had no idea. So where was I? Right, so the eggs stick to you like glue to your intestines, and I was relieved, actually. I was relieved that all these products were not healthy for you, because it seemed crazy. It seemed crazy that it took so much input. I mean, you need at least 4 people to continually produce all the foods that people think that they need for health. So I was relieved that I no longer had to live like that anymore. It's just a lot of work, pain, and hardship. For what? For food? It's not even human food. It's just that we're programmed and taught that it is. So what it boiled down to was that I was personally contributing to death and unnecessary pain around me, which didn't come without a price. I was putting my own health on the line, and I was living somewhat of a lie. I really was. You see, unless you are not out there raising animals to kill meat or collecting the eggs or milking the cow, you do not see what goes on behind producing these products that most humans are programmed to believe are human food. The screams, the silence, the energy, the blood, the mess, the pain. It was socially accepted nightmare. It was a socially accepted nightmare. Deep down, I always knew it was wrong, yet I continued because I was taught that these were the healthy foods, and because others around me encouraged young farmers to keep going. Purchasing a prepackaged chunk of meat or a jug of milk or a carton of eggs from your local grocery store or your farm removes you from reality. It really does. You have no idea. No idea. It disconnects you from the truth, and it normalizes the insanity of it all. Even when people came down to the farm to pick up their jug of raw milk, they never paid attention to the cow that produced it. They never asked to see her, Mercedes. They didn't know that someone was up at 6 a.m. milking that cow. Causing that cow to produce even more milk to feed her young and some greedy, asleep human beings that had no clue. So I guarantee if you had to kill the animals and milk the cow yourself, it would become quite a different story, and often that's what it's going to take for people to wake up. And that's sad because people aren't going to do it themselves because they're lazy. And because they don't have the opportunity. They're living in cities. They don't even see animals, half of them. So what truly happens in society when society follows mainstream dietary guidelines? They become sick. They become dependent on the medical and pharmaceutical industry, and they become lifelong customers. Half the population is lifelong customers. They're on pharmaceuticals. They're on drugs. They shouldn't even be driving around, seriously. They become, So not only that, but they pass their health issues and poor dietary habits and dependencies onto their children. They become a burden to their children and to society later on. It's a domino effect, and it's disgusting. It's sick. And half the population can't even see this, more than half. Eating animals and their byproducts simply because your parents and your grandparents did it is a classic case of the blind leading the blind. Once I discovered how these particular foods I once thought were healthy were in fact slowly damaging my organs and my glands and degenerating my health, causing me pain and suffering and aging symptoms. My teeth were yellowing, I was getting wrinkles. I just had to end it. Let's go, move on, make some big changes. Yeah, I did it overnight. I cut everything out overnight and I didn't even miss it for a second. I didn't miss the cheese, even though it's addicting and has casomorphins and it affects brain receptors like heroin in your brain and all this. It's addicting. I did not miss it because I knew what it was doing to the body and because I knew what it was doing to the animals. We found good homes for all our animals after that. Just found good homes for them all, where they wouldn't be eaten by uninformed humans. We cut out meats, we cut out salts, we cut out grains and dairy overnight. We left the farm, we moved into a tiny mobile home, which we parked in a friend's organic fruit orchard. My health issues began to resolve, my migraines slowly disappeared, and I could function again. I began sleeping, my skin cleared, my body went through so many changes that today I am an improved version of my former self, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I can think again. I couldn't even, if I tried to study anything back then, I would have to read something 4 times before it sank in. That's not the case anymore. And I'm still working on myself. Obviously I'm not done, but wow. I'm still trying to dig up before and after pictures when I had bleached blonde hair and I so asleep. But I guess I had to be that asleep to become this awake. I don't know. Yes, there is an adjustment period, but that's what a transition diet is for, and that's what I advocate, and that's what I help people with, a transition diet. I'm not saying get on fruits overnight. It's impossible. But I am saying cut out the bad stuff, cut out the stuff we're not even meant to eat, cut out the acid-forming foods, people. Seriously. You're gonna land yourself in the hospital. And all these ex-vegans who are turning to meat, I hope they're honest and truthful, because you know what? They're gonna experience health issues. There's no getting around it. There's no getting around it because these foods are acid forming. they're putrefaction, they're parasite proliferators, they're fungal feeders. Like, there's no way somebody can be healthy. Sure, they can counteract the effects for a while. A, they have a strong constitution. B, they get lots of fresh air, sunlight, exercise, and they, maybe counteract the effects a bit with intermittent fasting. Sure, you can, kind of keep that up for a while, but it's going to catch up with you because the laws of nature dictate. We have specific foods that we're designed to eat, and when we eat outside of those specific foods, we pay a price. Whether it's sooner or later, everyone pays a price. Don't think you can escape the laws of nature. We're not meant to ingest dead things. That's the cold hard truth. I'll continue on. Sure, go on a rant, hey? Okay, so we humans are designed for certain foods which hydrate, cleanse, and feed our cells. Animal products and starchy foods do neither. Long ago, we began to eat the foods that harm our health. This is a quote. Therefore, we built hospitals and rely on pharmaceuticals to compensate. Wait, that wasn't a quote. That was my own wording from a quote I read that was similar. Anyways, once the body becomes cleaner from the healthy dietary changes, I guarantee you will begin to view things differently. The truth becomes apparent, yet you must step outside of it, as it's very difficult to see otherwise. And this is the truth. You can't see it if you're still ingesting these foods. If you're still ingesting meats and things and listening to what I'm saying and, oh, what she's saying is crazy, it's bullshit. Well, you know what? It will sound like that to you because you have to experience it. You have to, even if you still eat meats, why not cut them out for a month? It's not going to kill you. Cut them out for a month and see how you feel. Just see. Keep in mind, of course, you may go through a bit of a down period because meat's a stimulant and you're stimulating your body and you're eating it and blah, 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 but give it a try. Really. I have a feeling you'll have some sort of awakening in certain areas that I can't describe. It's just an experience that you gotta have. So, dear friend, don't tell me that you don't think you can do it. That you love your meats and your cheeses, because if I managed to let it all go in the situation I was in, anyone can. I had an abundance of anything I wanted, from the cheeses to the yogurts and everything. And if you continue down the same road and continue to believe the lies and the misinformation that humans require high protein diets for health, not only do you destroy your own health little by little, but you also contribute to needless death of animals and to destroying the planet to a larger degree than those that only ingest plants. So yes, it is my business. It's all of our business. We are supposed to be here to protect the earth, not destroy it. Don't tell me to accept the choices of others when I can see the impact those choices have. We all reside here together, and, it's my moral duty to speak up. Sorry, I'm going to say it. If I see someone doing something harmful, I'm going to point it out. Because I live here too. I care about the betterment of the people, the earthly inhabitants, and our next generations. These aren't just my opinions. These are cold, hard truths that people need to face and deal with. If I make you uncomfortable because I don't eat meat and I come to your house and you're, having a barbecue or something, that's not because of me. That's because you know damn well that you're doing something that isn't quite in alignment with yourself or with nature or with what we're meant to do or eat. That's on you. Those who blindly allow their habits, their traditions, and their addictions to lead their lives, when all this truth and information is in your face, will ultimately face pain, serious health issues, and become a burden to society and to their families down the road. Is that really what you want? Do you want to follow in the footsteps of pretty much everyone, or do you want to break free and be part of the change, really? If I can help prevent one person from continuing down the path to destruction, I'm going to speak up, because this is apparently what I do. And you know what? I have helped many people along this journey, and it's my way of giving back for all that I did in the past, for how blind and how asleep and how I was just partying and drinking and eating whatever and just unconsciously living my life. This is the least I can do to give back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my rants. And if you're one of those that still eat meat, do the best you can, the truth's in your face. I'm not saying cut it out overnight, start minimizing it and eventually have some goals, some worthy goals that are going to better yourself, that are going to better the planet around you, benefit the animals, you know? Let's live in consciousness. Please like, share, and subscribe so I can be inspired to make more videos. Take care, everyone.